Only thing I didn't like was that it basically just painted him as a fucking, which he was, but I was like, yeah, a womanizing drunk who's unapologetic and couldn't get out of the wrestling business, which is all true, but just the way that it came off, it was like, damn.
And they were putting him down the whole time.
No, not even. He made it fucking weird because like he would say shit, and instead of being like, yeah, I did that, like he legit would say like, how many women have you slept with? About 10,000. Isn't that terrible? Like he would laugh, and it was like, it's funny because you're Ric Flair, but I was like, at the same time, it's like, bro,
stop.
He would do that every time they would ask him a question and he'd answer, and it was like something that he clearly shouldn't be laughing at.
Laugh.
And it was like,
yeah,
bro, it's funny because you're Ric Flair, but at the same time,
not funny.
Like, come on.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, what somebody said, what they should have done, which was they should have interviewed him post his fucking shit where he almost died.
Yeah.
Because they didn't.
So while he was still drinking and partying and...
That's when all the other interviews took place for this documentary.
Yeah.
They should have did it when he stopped and see if he still felt the same way.
Probably not.
Because then they could have been like, alright, he had fun and it was cool until he almost died.
But now you see a difference.
But they don't show that. So it's like, oh, guess there's no lesson here. Just be a womanizing drunk who can't get out of the wrestling business and has lots of money, drives limousines, flies jets. I walked away thinking I want to be Ric Flair.
No problem.
I walked away saying, what's the problem? His son died. He's got two other kids. He's alright.
Too sweet! Hi, welcome to JD Sports. I'm Jared Hood. That's the way you can follow our personal Twitters at the show's Twitter page, which is @_JD Sports. You can listen to the podcast on SoundCloud if you do not want to watch on YouTube by going to the links in the descriptions. Dwight?
Yes, sir.
How was your weekend, man?
What did I do this past weekend?
It's been a while since I asked you.
I know. Last time, well, it was uneventful compared to last weekend because last weekend was the party weekend for my birthday.
Right.
But no, it was cool. Just mellow, chilling, kicking out the house.
Hang out. Not bad. Not bad.
Sober up, you know. Alcohol-wise, people.
Been a good,
Gotta clarify for the social media, you know.
Yeah.
Justice warriors.
In our line of business, it's getting about the time where it's, they call it peak season. So we'll be working a whole lot here coming up soon.
It's gonna suck. By the way, it's not our business. It's not my business. Damn sure it's not my business. I wish it was my business.
Our place of employment. Behind the smile.
Should I hashtag that in the description?
No. Definitely not.
By all means, hashtag it in my comment section. Nobody's going to comment, that's why I don't care. Anyway, what's up?
On a serious note, because we are a sports show, and
there's sports going on.
We have a lot of fun. We do a lot of good things, and we're always, you know...
Work and drink. That's all I've been doing.
Disclaimer to the people: I'm tired, so it's gonna be a little slower pace this time around. I'm tired. It's been a long cup.
AKA, you're gonna breathe.
I'm gonna breathe. It's gonna be fine.
Good. That's good.
But I'm gonna be a little slower tonight.
And people might understand you. That's what's up.
Maybe, probably not.
Yeah, because it's gonna be too slow.
Ezekiel Elliott.
Say what's wrong with you?
Ezekiel Elliott.
Are they gonna ask what's wrong with you?
No. Tired, man.
I feel you.
A long
week.
week.
But if you talk too slow, you might think something's wrong. You're not sick. You're good.
I'm good. We're alright.
Everybody needs to know you're good.
We're recording late this week.
A little bit.
A little bit because I worked and I usually don't work on the days of these shows. I had to work tomorrow and I worked last week and I had to work the next day.
You're working like every day.
No excuses.
Literally.
We're doing this. JD Sports out here. It's okay though. I'm not even mad about it. The money's gonna be good. You're wearing that. You're wearing.
I forgot I'm wearing this. Des on Dallas.
It's a Cowboy shirt.
Of course.
Mine has it's Randall Cunningham. It has Cunningham on the back, but it's the old Eagles.
The last time they were relevant.
Big matchup this week between the two teams.
Yep.
We'll get into that.
I'm sure.
Last week, though, after our show, I guess, I want to say 2, maybe 3 days after we recorded, our show was already even up, I think, a day before it was even announced that Zeke Elliott was suspended for at least 4 games. He's going to fight for the last 2 sometime in this week, next week, or the week after, and we'll see if he gets the last 2 or not. To be honest with you, it might not even be worth fighting for the last 2, depending on where they are. I would say in probably about 3 weeks, he would probably make that decision. He has left the country. He got suspended. He left the country to do his training somewhere over in Europe. The team also apparently went to Europe instead of Atlanta on Sunday because 2 injuries, and that was it. I mean, they had a left tackle go down, and they had Sean Lee go down.
Best left tackle in the game.
He's definitely, without question, All-Pro.
Smith, yep.
The last couple of years, he's been one of the most consistent parts of that offensive line. Even because this year, early in the year, people, for their standards of the Cowboys, would say the Cowboys' offensive line was struggling. But he and Zach Martin were both the 2 consistent parts of that line. For him to go down, for one of those 2 to go down, is pretty detrimental to their offensive line. For him to go down, and you could see it. I mean, Dak Prescott ends up getting, sacked? How many times was it? I think it was 8 times and 6 by one guys, right? It was 8 times and 6 by one guy. I keep getting that stat wrong.
Yeah, I know the dude had 6.
So they had 8 then. They had 8. He had all but 2 of their sacks. So that means they had 8. Last time a Cowboy quarterback got sacked that many times was in 1991 by the Philadelphia Eagles. Troy Aikman.
Yippee.
Mike Golick had a sack and a half in that game. Reggie White had 2. Jerome Brown had 2.
It's irrelevant stuff that you just know. It's just ridiculous. You know that?
Those defenses back then in the early 90s for the Eagles were very, very good. So they have a lot of really cool stats.
How many championships those teams win?
Sadly, the Fog Bowl derailed the one chance that everyone thought that they really had.
So 0.
Because Randall got hurt going into the playoffs the one year. The next year they have the Fog Bowl, and then the year after Randall breaks his leg.
Is the answer 0?
Yes.
Okay.
So
just checking.
Back to the Cowboys. The Sean Lee injury.
Devastating. Our best defensive player, hands down.
You talked about going into the game, you weren't really sold on the defense because of one game anyways, and I'm completely understanding and agreeing with that.
Yeah, where are all those people at now?
The Atlanta was moving the ball a little bit on them, but the decided difference was when Sean Lee went down, they just started to be able to expose for more than 5-6 yards, it turned into 15 to 20 yards, and it turned into, they were able to really start taking control.
Because you got nothing but kids out there on our defense.
And then for the offensive line to have the issue that they had with the combination of it, so you had Dak running around for his life on top of the defense not being able to stop anybody. Atlanta on the combination of how good they have been at home over the last 3 or 4 years, but especially last year, we saw them at home this year beat up on Green Bay pretty good, even though the rest of the season's been a little iffy for them. They get a pretty big win, but again, with the suspension of Ezekiel Elliott going into the game from the time they announced that to the game, did you expect Dallas to probably not pull that out, or did you think that there was going to be... You can't predict the injuries, so obviously it looks like they have less fight in them than what they... Because obviously that game's a lot closer even with Zeke out if those 2 injuries don't happen. So you can't predict that.
Tyron Smith was already out, right?
Yeah, but he got hurt. They announced he wasn't going to play, but he was questionable, wasn't he? And then they announced he wasn't going to play as of the night before, the day of. But he might not play this week either.
Right.
And Sean Lee's out for 2 weeks from everything I hear. You pointed out to me earlier that the kicker's out, right? Bailey?
Dan Bailey, the best kicker in the history of the NFL. Well, at least he was. I think it changed, but I don't know.
Yeah, stat-wise.
Regardless, one of the best kickers in the history of the NFL.
Right, I hear you. He's out for at least 3 weeks. So, yeah, they're pretty depleted with another at least minimal of 3 weeks of Zeke being out. So
it's a hot mess right now. I'm just glad that you're actually acknowledging the fact that we were injured, because I go, of course, the internet and the reaction of people were saying, well, the Eagles had injuries too. But it's not complete.
The Eagles have a lot of offensive line injuries.
It's not completely the same. It's not completely the same.
The Eagles lost their best offensive lineman,
correct.
but let me put it to you this way. They don't rely so heavy on just 2 offensive linemen. Now, again, Dallas has a depth across the offensive line.
Right.
That doesn't mean the other 3 guys are scrubs by any measure of the offense.
Except one who
the
allowed the
Eagles,
sacks.
let me put it to you. Well, after as the backup, he did. But let me put it to you this way: the Eagles are more of a not zone, but They do more of collective blocking, I would say. And honestly, if you want to say go depth-wise, because before the season, the the conversation was people were saying the Eagles had the better offensive line. And our conversation before the season was...
Who were those people?
If you... Remember you said about how...
No, it wasn't us.
But my point is, our conversation was these... I said the only way I would defend that is in the sense of the Eagles might have more depth at the offensive line, not necessarily more talent at the offensive line. And yes, that would be the difference in showing. But... Smith going down, or like I said, if Zach Martin would have went down on the other side, if one of those two guys going down, those are the anchors of the offensive line,
and they're the best in the league.
Yeah, I mean, they without question at their position, they are toe to toe with any other player at their position.
That's what's ridiculous to me is that people are making that comparison because Tyron Smith, as far as I'm concerned, is the best tackle in the entire league. You got Sean Lee, who is our best.
He's their best defensive player. Yes.
He's not the best in the league, but he's the best.
He's their best defensive player.
He's the leader.
He's the Cowboys' best defensive player.
He's the clear leader of that defense.
He calls the plays. That's a big deal. That's your quarterback of the defense going out.
And you can laugh at it, which it is funny, but then you lose our great kicker. Like those are three huge spots to lose. Plus Zeke on top of that. I'm not even mentioning Zeke.
The Eagles got lucky with Jake Elliott.
Zeke is our offense, so it's huge. All of that is...
The Eagles got lucky with Jake Elliott kicking the 61-yarder in Week 2 against the Giants this year. But I'll be honest with you, since David Akers, it has been a hard time to find a consistent kicker that, A, doesn't get hurt. Because all the consistent kickers the Eagles have, the two they had, Cody Parkey and Sturgis, both end up getting hurt. And that's what led them to Elliott. But... kicking is a huge part of the aspect. So for him to go down, it's hard to find a kicker on the women this week. What are we in week 11?
I say all the time. I mean, Dan Bailey, if it wasn't for him, man, we were... How many years did we go where we lost by... Because Billy Cundiff, I'll never forget that freaking bum-ass name because he was a scrub.
I remember.
The Billy Cundiff years. I think we had a Grammatica back there at one point.
Oh, I remember that,
which was an upgrade, but it wasn't anything great. But so for the
first... As an Eagles fan, we were spoiled. As Eagles fans, we were spoiled with David Akers for what it felt like 100 years, but it was only about 7 or 8, but it was the best 8... I mean, the most consistent 8 years I've ever seen.
Because you didn't have to worry about it.
Never, ever. It didn't matter where...
And that's where we were finally out with Bailey, and now he's hurt.
It was 52, 54 yards out. It was 35 yards out. It was 22 yards out. David Akers did not miss. And...
that's what Dan Bailey is, and now he's out. So I was like,
he ended up missing a couple of kicks since last season with the Eagles, and one was in the playoff game, and they cut him. He ends up going to San Francisco though, and he was on their team the year they went to the Super Bowl, making a lot with it. He was incredibly good. So I understand.
It makes a huge difference. So I mean, all those factors. And
we'll talk about that going into the game, but the game itself with Atlanta.
I said last week that I wasn't confident in us winning it because Atlanta always seems to just ball out against us, especially when.
Do you think if Smith would have played?
No.
It doesn't. The outcome still is a loss.
It definitely helps. It definitely helps.
Yeah, I'm not saying. I'm not. Obviously, it's closer. Obviously, they might score 20 points or 10 points or.
It's probably still a
30
loss.
points maybe. I'm asking, do you still win or lose is more the question. And
it's probably still a loss. Atlanta was just hot.
I agree with that. They had a really good game, especially with you, like you said. The defense of the Cowboys necessarily might not be up to par against an offense that good.
You add Tyrone Smith, that eliminates the sacks, but that doesn't cure Zeke not being there and our defense. So
did Alfred
we
Morris
probably still lose?
Again,
he didn't do anything. It was nothing.
Yeah, I agree.
Our running game did absolutely nothing. It's a shame because, what was it, last year or the year before, I forget, when Darren McFadden was balling out. And even
he had over 1,000 yards.
Right, and it was last year when he was backing up Zeke, and he was still doing
and the year before that, it was the year before that.
Did he get a touch? I don't know. I don't recall seeing him out there. I didn't watch the game.
They gave everything to Smith and Morris from everything I saw.
I did see a lot of Morris. I don't know if McFadden got it, but point being, it wasn't good, and I would think that we would still get the loss.
Before we break down more football, a little more off the field drama going on. We're not even talking about the suspension of Ezekiel Elliott, but this sort of ties into it a little bit, I guess.
What's that?
The NFL and Jerry Jones are having a big issue. Jerry Jones is trying to block. He is threatening to sue the league if they give the Goodell an extension.
Would that mean he'd be suing himself? That's
I don't understand why he said he was going to sue the league. He said this on 3 different occasions now. Like at first I thought when I read it, I thought that like, all right, the guy kind of was just insinuating that he said he would sue the league, but apparently the quote was directly that he said he was going to sue the league. And then I hear him on a radio show, I guess 4 or 5 days later saying it, and then I just heard it again. I guess he just said it a day or 2 after that. So I don't understand why he would want to sue the league, but
my problem with that is you would be suing because of your team. You're not suing because you feel like Zeke's an innocent man. You know that's bullshit. You know,
I'm not sure why he would. What the motive behind it? My thing on this is
because they came at Zeke and
we agree with.
But why would you think that you have a case? Like,
okay,
what are you winning?
So you brought to my attention that there's been something floating around about the owners trying to have him. See, okay, before because you said the extreme. You said the extreme.
I said what the article.
You said the article went to the extreme of saying that him giving up the team. I don't think that can happen. Well, I guess it could, but that's the super extreme. Okay, let me put it to you that way. What I've heard before you brought that to me was the other owners have been coming to Jerry Jones telling him to back off, just to kind of like, hey, take the foot off the pedal. And the reason being is, from what I would see of this, is he himself, Mara, the owner of the Giants, the owner of the Baltimore Ravens, Bushati, the owner of the Colts, Irsay, not that he's credible. We will forever throw that in there. But those guys, and Jerry Jones was also involved with this, when Brady was getting kind of witch hunted by the NFL, quote unquote. Yeah. He was a very big supporter of this, and he was part of putting the committee together of the 5 owners, and this was a year and a half ago. He and 3 other owners put the committee together of 5 owners to make this deal up of the extension for Goodell. Now, he did that during the Brady situation, and he seemed very pleased with Goodell at that time.
Which is hypocritical.
Flip it around, and so to me, that's why the owners are at least telling him to back off. Now, I think the most extreme thing is, and you said that you have been told by multiple people about this article.
There's apparently an article, and I refuse to read it because it's stupid. It's not credible. It's stupid.
And even if it was credible, that is the most extreme you can absolute go to, and there's zero possibility that I think it gets that far. Let me put it to you this way:
there's a group of owners allegedly. I didn't read the article.
I don't think that they're going to do it.
There's a group of owners. I'm just saying what it is. There's a group of owners that allegedly want to try somehow force Jerry Jones to sell the team. My reason for not even clicking on the damn thing: 1, it's not realistic. 2, it's stupid. 3, with those 2, on what grounds, on what basis? Because you don't agree with him, because
the hypocritical part is from what I would gather.
Because he's hypocritical, but you can't force a man to this is how I compare it. Okay,
Sterling is the only one who can absolutely you need a situation to go that far. And he's not doing anything near that situation.
This is not that situation, which was my immediate thought. I was like, this isn't the Clipper situation where it's so extreme and it's so detrimental and it's so bad that you need to get rid of him. Jerry Jones, just whether he's being a hypocrite or he just doesn't like Roger Goodell for whatever the hell reason. That's not grounds for saying, okay, you must get rid of your team and, sell them. Like, how? How is it? How do people not see how moronic that sounds? Because I've got, not you, but I've got nothing but
right.
salty Eagles fans that have sent me this article, and they're legit like, oh, I really hope this happens. It's like, on what basis do you think that it's even logical?
I mean,
you want to talk about a lawsuit?
I'm all in. I'm all in if there's something else to bring the Cowboys down. But
you want to talk about a lawsuit? You want to talk about logic?
I do not think it's possible that they can do that.
What? As if the NFL needs another reason for you to not watch them.
I've been pretty outspoken from.
You do something like that? Like what?
Even trying to backtrack the whole way back to my Hoods Huddle days, I've been try to be as fair as possible when it comes to Jerry Jones, because he's the most.
Just put him in the Hall of Fame. You're not fucking making him sell his team.
He's the most outspoken owner, without question, of our time frame.
Right. He is.
I have tried to be as probably, I would say, fair as I possibly can, especially being an Eagles fan. Yeah, I have obviously a little more bias against him, but I think he's done a lot of good for the league, and I also think he's done a lot of bad for the league. And I would say over this last year and a half has been the most... It's been... I dislike him a little more because of his actions over the last year and a half than I did have. Because I still super respect. This dude has done so much for the league. Okay, but you know what? It sounds like he's suing.
It's a shrug off moment to me.
But it sounds like he's suing the league based off of he was told by Roger Goodell that Ezekiel Elliott would not be suspended.
Sounds like him and Roger Goodell's beef. Why is it got to be everybody else's beef? Why is everybody else worried about it?
Let's not sue the league.
again, that's between them. Like I don't care that he's allegedly trying to sue the league.
See,
Like I don't like. Why do I care? Whatever. That's.
I mean, I got you. It's millionaires versus billionaires.
Right. Exactly.
My problem with it is that it just doesn't really make any sense.
And
for
my
them
question
to do.
is, why are these other billionaires caring?
Because it hurts them. It's going to hurt them in the long run. I mean, okay. Let me put it this way. What bothers you more? An owner suing the league, any owner. I'm not just talking to your owner, or players kneeling during the national anthem.
What angers me more?
Yeah. What bothers you more?
Neither. Neither bothers me at all, in the slightest.
The kneeling one doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't bother me that he's suing the league. I just don't understand why he's suing.
I don't either. That's why. Like,
I'm not following.
I don't understand either. I have no clue why he's doing this.
And them in the long run, and
one, we don't even know if it's actually happening, but. No, I have no clue why
he said it 3 times that if they give him the extension, he will. But he appointed the people that are giving him the extension. That's the funny part about this. I just don't understand. I'm just not following his logic. And I would like money. I wish he was. I wish he was more consistent about his. He was. And that's kind of where I'm like on the whole. I'm not really a big fan of the way he's been acting because.
And guess what? Just like the knee thing.
I think I've been probably more supportive than Jerry Jones than most Eagles fans because like I said, I think he's done a lot of good for the league and he has the overexposure that everyone deals with. What we are personally trying to do. Jerry Jones is a big part of why it works and the success of it. And
just like the knee thing, guess what? I don't care if you're going to watch football. Like there's some things.
I'm gonna watch football.
Some things like people don't seem to understand.
I'm not gonna change my watching
which is
football.
My point. Like most people don't seem to understand. A lot of this shit just doesn't impact you and shouldn't even matter to you. And so why does it? Like I don't know why he's suing. I don't care why he's suing. I don't care if he wins or loses.
If it was,
I care whether or not Ezekiel Elliott's out there.
Yeah. Let me put it this way. If it was the Eagles owner doing it, I would definitely myself, just because of who I am, and I do this in general on most topics, I would definitely try to figure out what else is like. Well, I would try to investigate more, just read up. Because I'm super confused on why, like what the long game run would be, what the end game for Jerry Jones would. So like say you win, you know what I mean? Like that, and that's where I'm like I'm just really confused on. All right, so then if you win, then what?
It doesn't matter.
What about Condoleezza Rice? She is not in politics anymore. She loves football. She actually does a really good job with the college football committee. What if she could be? I think she'd be a great NFL commissioner. She graduated from Stanford. She's super smart.
That was the most random ass question I ever heard in my life.
Well, I said if he sued. Okay, so if Jerry Jones sued and won, right? What's next? What's next would have to obviously be they get a new commissioner if he won the deal, right? So who would the next commissioner be? I say Condoleezza Rice. I think that'd be great.
I say Jared Hood because it doesn't matter.
That'd be fun. You would have a pretty
because it does not matter.
You would have a pretty high up position in the office, Dwight. I promise that.
I promise you, I'll be the most anti-everything person you need, which is what all billionaires would need. So you'd be good. Because I'd tell you how much shit does not matter.
Somebody you're not anti on, but somebody you like to poke fun at me with, had a really good weekend last weekend on the field. Cam Newton passed for almost 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and ran for almost 100 yards on 5 carries.
Cool.
He was used the exact way that, we talked about earlier in the year, how we both feel that he should be used. Just a couple design runs and a couple more scrambles, but nothing more than 5 to 10 runs in a game. He only had 5 runs, 93 yards. Perfect. McCaffrey came up, had a catch and a run for a touchdown. I want to say, I forget if it was Artis Payne or the other running back that had the touchdown. But they had another running touchdown in the game. They beat up on the Dolphins pretty good. Jay Cutler had a really bad pass before half that basically went from a 10-7 game to a 17-10 game. Luke Kuechly.
That's your favorite quarterback. That's the guy you like to defend, right?
And you know what? He had 4 bad passes and one of them was picked off. It was, and that I don't understand what he was doing on the play. I'm not sure myself. It really put them in a bad position. They ended up going down 10 at halftime. Panthers come out and score right after half. They're down 17, and the next thing you know, the game was over.
You gotta go ask your cigarette, bro.
Probably. Carolina with that win.
Yep.
They're only division. They're 2-1 in their division, right? I know this was an NFC AFC game, but I'm talking about just in the long run here with Carolina. They're 2-1 in their division. Their one loss is a home loss to the team that they're looking up to by only one game, the Saints. The Saints also put up 40 this week up in Buffalo.
Shouts to me for making Buffalo.
How about Buffalo having the great streak they had and then losing on a Thursday night to the Jets by giving up 35 points and then giving up 40 points after 11 days off?
To the, what, now 6-win streak. Saints, though.
Are you ready for this? Drew Brees, first time he did not throw a touchdown pass with the Saints as the Saints quarterback. They still put up 40 points in the game. He ran for a touchdown, but they ran for 4 more touchdowns in the game by 3 different running backs.
Shouts to my bum ass.
Who would have thought the number 1 rushing team in the league would have traded Adrian Peterson the 4th weekend? Who would have thought the Saints would have the best outdoor record in the NFL? Who would have thought their secondary would be the second best secondary in the league statistic wise at this point? I am mind blown. You were mind blown. Drew Brees did not throw a touchdown pass.
Drew Brees is mind blown.
He did not throw a touchdown pass and scored 40 points this week.
Mind blown.
When they were 1-1 against, and they lost. Remember, they lost like 42 to 17 or whatever it was, or 24 to the New England Patriots. We were like, all right, that's about what the Saints should be. And then next thing you know, here they are, 6-2, 7-2, whatever they are.
6 straight, 7 straight, whatever it is.
It's incredible. But them in Carolina, do you think right now, if you had to make a decision, because obviously I think you're getting 2 out of their division and you're going to get 2 out of the West, I would assume, right? And then the North would have Green Bay's not going to make the playoffs, you would assume. Chicago's not going to make the playoffs, I would assume. So you're going to have either Detroit in Minnesota, and you're going to have Seattle Seattle and the Rams, and you're going to have these 2 teams.
What's
Carolina.
The question?
Huh?
What's the question?
Who do you think wins the South? And if you think, do you think Carolina or New Orleans wins the South? And if you think,
well, it's clearly going to be one of them.
Okay, but I'm saying, in the team that you don't think wins the South, do you think they sneak in as one of the 2 wildcard teams? Because you need to take 2 from 3 of these divisions, and only two of the 3 teams that come in second can make it, right? Because Dallas, you would assume they can still get in the mix, but they're going to end up second in the East, and if they end up second in the East, even if Washington ends up second in the East, Washington already has 5 losses, right? Mm-hmm. So my point being is you're looking at 4, 5, 6 losses. These other teams only have 2 or 3 losses that are fighting for the wild card spots already in the halfway through. And so my point being is, do you think Carolina or New Orleans wins the South?
God, I don't know. I don't have faith in either one of them but they're both hang around.
I'm having a hard time going against the Saints, but I'm thinking Carolina.
I would, if I had to, I would go with Carolina just because
I think the front 7 defensively is why I would pick them. With Cam Newton, nothing against the Saints' offense because there's nothing I can say against their offense. They can run the ball really well. They can pass the ball really well. Their offensive line is even actually better than I was saying in the beginning of the year, and I apologize to them for that.
I take it back. I might just take the Saints just because.
All right.
For nothing else is that I think the Saints can do more
so
relying on Drew Brees than Carolina can just rely on Cam Newton. I feel like Carolina just wears Cam Newton now, and I don't think that's going to sustain through it to get them into the postseason.
So you don't need. So I'm saying. So you think that they will end
up?
Well,
they would be a wild card.
Do you think they'll make the wild card though? I'm saying because you have Minnesota or Detroit winning the North, and then you have Seattle or the Rams winning the West. But then the second place team in those 2 divisions are also going to be fighting with Carolina for the postseason. Right. That's my point. I think both these teams make the playoffs. I think New Orleans and Carolina both make the playoffs. I got Carolina winning the division. I think the Rams and Seattle both make the playoffs, and I have Minnesota and Detroit not make. I have Minnesota winning their division and Detroit might not make the playoffs.
Detroit might make it.
Detroit would be the team I would scratch out of those 6 teams.
I'd put Detroit in, maybe take.
You can only take 5 of those 6
Carolina
teams.
Out.
Is what I'm saying.
I don't know.
The reason I would take Detroit out is because
it's a whole bunch of good enough teams, but not great.
And that's my point. So out of those 6 teams, only 5 of those teams can make it. I guess that's the better way I should have put in to begin with.
New Orleans wins the division. Carolina fights for a wild card. Doesn't make it. There's my answer.
The reason I would say Carolina makes it and Detroit doesn't is because Detroit, as it has been, and even though Detroit's schedule is actually pretty easy coming down the stretch, but they haven't beat a team with a winning record again. And so even if they made the playoffs, they're probably going to lose early in it anyways.
I just think Carolina relies too much on Cam. I think it's just going to wear itself thin like it always does every year.
Yeah, we will absolutely see going down forward. Cam is doing so only 3 times has a player passed for 350 yards and rushed for 100 yards in the game, and he would have been only the fourth time to do it. He has 2 of the 3 times. It would have been the 3rd time he did it, and he would have been 3 of the 4 times the other player to do it. Randall Cunningham.
I was gonna say McNabb, but
no, Randall Cunningham.
Cool. Stats that nobody cares about.
You want a stat that nobody cares about real fast about Tom Brady?
I'm sure you got a million of them.
Tom
Which
Brady,
one did you pull out? Wait. Which one did you pull out of my hat? All the papers fell out. Which one did you pull out?
Tom Brady turned 39 1 week before the 2016 season. The week that would be the week before last year, right?
Sure did.
Since then?
Correct. I'm glad. Mathematically, that is correct.
Are you ready for this?
No.
He has 49 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Dwight, are you ready for a better stat?
No, because I don't care.
6 times has there been a player throw 4 interceptions in one game.
And you know all 6 of them, don't you?
2 of those 6 were Phillip Rivers.
Okay.
My point being is
So Phil Rivers doesn't suck as much as you say he does?
No, he threw 4 interceptions.
No.
Twice.
That's how much I was paying attention to that.
Tom Brady's only thrown 4 interceptions in the last year and a half. He did have a 4-game suspension, but since he turned 39, 49 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
Great.
Speaking of Tom Brady in New England, they absolutely rolled Denver. We expected that.
Man, I was sad.
Pittsburgh struggled with Indianapolis, the Colts, but they won. They pulled out the win at the end. Pittsburgh struggled with Indianapolis. They struggled with Chicago. They lost to they lost to Chicago, but they also their other loss is to Jacksonville. And Jacksonville loss looks a lot better now, even though Ben Roethlisberger threw 5 interceptions in that game. He's one of those players.
And he's going to retire apparently because he doesn't have it anymore. Right.
They did beat KC, but so all of their games seem to be close. Mm-hmm. New England seems to be dominating, especially more recently.
Right.
Pittsburgh would be the number 1 seed. Do you trust them more than you would trust New England right now, or would you trust New England more than Pittsburgh right now? Because Pittsburgh would have the home field advantage if the season ended today.
Normally, if I didn't look up this, you love stats. If I didn't look up these little, well, I don't consider it a stat, but it is rankings.
Yeah.
Normally I would say New England, but defensively, Pittsburgh. Do you actually know what their defense is ranked?
No, but I know it's very good. They did not give up a whole lot of yards.
They're number
this
1
week.
Yards allowed.
Okay.
They're number 2 in points between Jacksonville's number 1, the Rams are number 3. So Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, the Rams are your top 3 in points allowed. I would have never guessed that.
Well, we talked about the Rams.
So I would trust Pittsburgh more than New England.
I'll give myself a small pat on the back saying that I did say the Rams were going to have a good defense this year. Yeah. I'll give myself an even smaller pat on the back because before the season, I did try to point out, hey, look, Pittsburgh did at least go out and try to get better defensively. I did not know if it was going to work. I was just saying, at least on paper at that time, I believed that they at least made the effort that I did not see from them in years past. And then
which is good because their defense has been garbage.
It's even
past 2-3 years.
When I said that, I didn't expect this. Right, I'm not trying to say I predict that at all. In the Jacksonville thing, I predicted Jacksonville to be good last year for the exact opposite reason that they are. So I get no credit for that one.
So to answer your question, I would.
You would say Pittsburgh because of their defense
more, and at the end of the day, they have more weapons.
Offensively, look, you have Brown,
so many weapons.
Martavis Bryant ended up who got benched the week before. He gets a 2-point conversion. He gets a big catch in the fourth quarter. Brown got the biggest catch in the fourth quarter. Juju Smith got the touchdown. Bell had over 100 yards. They did look good offensively in the second half of that game, but they could not move the ball at all. My scare with them is offensively. It seems like they stall out for whatever reason. Nobody really can figure it out. Why? Because
maybe just bored.
Possibly because against the good teams like Kansas City, they did what they had to do. It was slow offensively, but they won the game, and defensively they held them to enough. I would be interested. I would still take New England, but I would take it by such a slight edge, and the game would be in Pittsburgh. So.
All right. The problem is they're in the AFC. They need to not take things for granted. They need to go out there and win every single game because you've got Kansas City and New England to worry about. They need to.
You're very top heavy, and so you need to be out the other two top teams. If they are
bored, they need to stop being bored.
Kansas City Kansas City's the only team with a winning record in their division, so they basically have. I'm not saying they have that locked up, but they all would have that locked up, that division. They would have to basically lose out, other than for one game, I think, and Oakland would have to win out. For them to lose that division. So, point being, it seems like Kansas City basically has their division locked up. New England, I think they have a 2-game edge on everybody in their division, but they don't have a division loss.
Yeah.
It looks like they're going to close out.
Yeah.
And then in the the AFC? Who are we missing here? South. Yeah. Oh yeah, it'd be Tennessee.
Right.
So. Point being
Tennessee or Jacksonville.
But they're not going to be as strong as Pittsburgh, New England, and Kansas City. So you need to figure out how to separate yourself from those 3 teams. Where in the NFC, we just talked about how there's going to be, out of the 8 teams that make it, 6 teams are fighting for the last 5 spots. Is what we were literally just talking. So the difference is for Pittsburgh-wise, they need to try to separate themselves the way you said. And they have the edge right now. They have the number 1 seed in the AFC if the season ended today. So they have the opportunity, even though they're playing lower to lower teams and higher to higher teams, they're 6-2.
If you had to pick one, would you pick Pittsburgh or Kansas City?
Pittsburgh.
I think that's hard.
It's very hard. I think
that's hard in a New England game. Overall.
I would pick New England
ignore the
over
quarterbacks
both
and ignore the quarterback.
I think all 3 quarterbacks are good.
Well, right, but I'm saying we always go off New England because we say don't doubt Brady, which fine, but I'm saying just take that aspect out. Overall, I think
defensively, look, Pittsburgh, Kansas City have the 2 better defenses, and New England will come in 3rd. Who would ever thought you said that? But offensively,
that's a tough game. That's a low-scoring game.
New England picked up another tight end in Bennett. They re-signed Bennett after. So look, Allen, Bennett, and Gronk combined for 180 yards and like 13 receptions and 3 touchdowns. My point being is, with that kind of studs in the middle, it's hard for me to go against that offense. I think that offense would be fun against both those teams defensively in the playoffs. I would take New England right now over both of them, but I'm with you. Pittsburgh's defense.
But Pittsburgh, I'm saying Pittsburgh versus Kansas City. Would you pick?
I'd pick Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
It would be close though.
I'd probably lean towards Pittsburgh.
Both offenses are good. Both defenses are good. And I think they are both substantial. But I
lean towards Pittsburgh, but we always seem to disrespect Kansas City, so And
I really like both. I like both teams. I do. I like both. I like both rosters.
They're definitely solid. It's definitely tighter as far as just quote-unquote elite, I don't want to use that term, but elite teams in the AFC. Then the NFC, it's tight for reasons that it's just so unpredictable because it's like you said, there's like 6, 7, 8 teams that you can choose from.
In the
AFC.
And they're all good, too.
Right.
That's the thing, is those 6... Like,
they're all right. I wouldn't say they're all good. I would probably still take those top 3 in the AFC than anybody in the NFC.
You would take them over the Eagles.
Yeah.
Over the Rams.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles...
Dallas is not even in the conversation because we don't know what's going to happen. Saints... Name all those teams. Vikings, Like
I think the
would
Saints
still
and
take
the Eagles,
I'm taking that field.
I think the Saints and the Eagles, the way I've seen them both play at the top of their game this year, I think could compete with Pittsburgh, Kansas City, or New England. But all the teams we're talking about all have flaws in them somewhere that can be exposed by any of those other teams. I think that's what makes it fun of the NFL. But the top of the top right now seem pretty elite.
It's all in the AFC, I'd say.
Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to put my tail between my legs and run from this whole topic, but I would be horrible to not at least bring it up. Notre Dame.
It's all on you, player. Who? Fighting Irish. Like Catholics. Did the convicts win? Convicts always win. That's why you gotta be Ric Flair. Y'all saw that documentary. Did you walk away wanting to be a Catholic or Ric Flair? I'm just saying. Woo!
Brandon Wimbush, who I was very high on coming into the season, was overthrowing 6'7" receivers by 2 feet. TJ Book was staring down dudes on slant routes, throwing interceptions the other way for touchdowns. So it wasn't much better.
Fighting Irish, huh?
I want them
Didn't they get blown out? I'm not trying to rub it in, but
yes.
I legit don't remember.
I want them to never play in that stadium again. That's the stadium that they got blown out by Alabama in that national championship. So I want them to never play in that stadium again. Look, on a real topic. One, they've done much better than we could have expected the season, even though I said, hey, I had high hopes that they would go do what they did going in the USC game.
6-0, right?
I was all in, right, okay. But they did better than most people because, to your point, winning 4 games last year made it where a lot of people didn't think they were going to be able to even 6-0. Shit, a lot of people thought they would barely win 6 games this year. Do you know what I mean?
So wait, you said 6-0, so did you or did you not have high expectations?
I had high expectations. I'm saying most of the people did not. I'm saying most people did. I have high expectations for Notre Dame year in, year out because I hold them to a very high standard.
Because he always thinks there's a chance.
Part of holding them to the high standard that I do, and I try to step outside of the box because I look at other programs this way. So the reason I'm going to look at it this way for Notre Dame is because I feel like I would kind of be not doing myself justice if I didn't. Other programs that have coaches that recruit really well, that win a lot of games but can't win the big game, I always say you got to get rid of that coach because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Notre Dame has now proven Brian Kelly he just can't coach in the big games for whatever reason it is. At Notre Dame, all of the big games, the USC game this year is the one big game I can recollect his entire career there that wasn't overcoached, overanalyzed,
How long has he been there?
7 years now.
Oh shit.
Okay. This has been the best 7. Look, and here is also. Let me flip it to you the other way. Here's the hard part of saying, as a Notre Dame fan, this is why
Marvin Lewis.
This is why I try to separate. No, he's better than Marvin Lewis, and that's the hard part of this. And this is where I try to separate myself, and this is the hard part of doing this as a Notre Dame fan. It is the best 7 years of Notre Dame football in my lifetime because they have not really necessarily been good since I've been born. They've been all right, but this is the best they've been, as close as they've been to a national championship year in and year out in my entire lifetime. 3 this year. Last week. They went to a national championship 4 years ago. Like the point, they are right there on the cusp of things. But in that national championship, the first 16, 17 offensive plays were miserable. It was run miserably, and the defense was not ready for the speed of the other team. This game, it was. I mean, the first. Look, their running game was the best in the nation. They could not run the ball at all. But 6 runs into this game, they realized that they could not run. But instead of changing this, he just kept trying to do the same thing over and over and over. The only thing that was working was getting to the outside. There was no adjustments until well after halftime. There is enough data for me to sadly say, and as much as I have loved the run that he has put at Notre Dame, it's not happening. It's not working, and I'm tired of them getting to the big game and being this good going into these big games, and then not being I would rather them start from scratch at this point.
I was going to say, so
this isn't working. I know for a fact.
Do you take the trust the process route where you got to be mediocre for a couple years and hope that it changes, or do you keep pushing it and see?
So the good thing about college football is it's not necessarily like pro sports because now they have the pedigree. So now you can get rid of this coach and get the coach in there that might be able to change this. Now you have the talent. Now you have the recruiting. Now you have the tradition back. Now you have they have the swag, they have the new gold helmets, they have the jersey deal, but Notre Dame lost it for a little bit. When I was in high school, between Brady Quinn and the Brian Kelly era, it was very dark. It was not good. But Brady Quinn was very good in college. And my point being is
he was in college.
Right, no, but I'm saying, but the in-between years, as good as Jimmy Clausen was at Notre Dame, the rest of those teams were not that good. They went through 4 different seasons where they won less than 5 games. They never did that in the history of Notre Dame in that time frame. So my point being is this is very hard for even the boosters and Notre Dame fans and anybody to be able to say, well, we should just fire the guy. But I literally feel like I've seen enough big games. I've seen him. He's lost to USC very bad multiple times. He's lost to Stanford in a game last year where if they beat Stanford last year, they would have went to the college football playoff, but they lost. They lost the 2 years. They get this close and then always lose. And it's always because the Florida State year is the only year I do not blame him. They lost to Florida State on a very bad fluke play that they should have won the game. And if they win that game, they go to at least the playoff. And who knows what happens in the playoff. But that was one of the only games that they lost that he did not look like he was overwhelmed in. But he just seems like he's overwhelmed in a lot of them. They're going to end up winning. They're going to end up winning 8 to 10 games, probably 10 games, honestly, and even a bowl game.
So how much longer, in your eyes, then is this going to be acceptable? Well, it's already been acceptable for 7 years.
Apparently. For the program, the Notre Dame, they're going to accept this for as long as he wins 8 to 10 games.
Which will probably they probably have the same argument I got, which would be, a couple years ago he was at a national championship game. Yeah, I get I'm not as invested as you are, obviously. And if you keep losing the big games, obviously, then that is a problem. And it does come down to the head coach, especially because the personnel is constantly changing. But
If we were talking
like
pro
to my
sports,
point, don't go. Why would you want to go back to that trust process? Let's start over.
Because it's not
this
pro
is the best
sports.
they've been. To your point, this is the best they've been in your lifetime. So why go back to garbage?
Because it's not pro sports and you're not breaking it down. Now you have the fundamental basis here, and now you can build off of what you
allegedly. That's not a guarantee.
It's absolutely not a guarantee. But you know what?
Getting rid of him could rip that whole foundation out, and you can be back to what you were prior to 10 years, which would be mediocrity and garbage, apparently.
But if they're never going to win the national championship anyways, I would rather them make that change. Do you think they have a chance? Do you think they'll win the national championship this way?
I don't know.
I don't.
This goes back to our argument
they would get overwhelmed in the game against Alabama. This goes back to our championship or bust
argument, which is, would you rather be
right, and we always talk about how I'm on the championship side of that.
That makes sense. I always say it's better to be respectable and be competitive, than to be garbage, as far as I'm concerned. I'd rather be competitive and at least be in the hunt. And if you break my heart, you break my heart. Than to be just complete garbage and nobody bats an eye at you.
I understand that.
You know what I mean? But that's just my opinion.
And obviously. Football are going to be very fun overall. We're going to really find out.
So we're about to close it out, aren't we?
Yep, we're about to find out who the 4 teams will be. But we're right there.
You realize next week is Thanksgiving, right?
I know it's
we're
over.
It's over. And the football season.
I feel like it just started.
Really does. We're more than halfway through the NFL season. College football is even shorter at this point.
Speaking of just started, but it's actually a full month in. 4 full weeks in is basketball.
It's wild, man.
My Sixers are more hot than cold. They've had a couple of odd games. They lost by 20 to the Golden State Warriors, but every other game they played has been pretty close.
And he's played how many games? 3?
He's played a lot more. He's played this entire West Coast road trip so far. They won against the Clippers in the last game before this recording. They look good.
Cool.
They play the Lakers, if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow night, the night after this recording.
I have no idea. I know they're on
late.
the West Coast. I know they're on the West Coast.
Yep. The Sixers are playing the Lakers. I know that sometime either Wednesday or Thursday.
Cool.
Speaking of those Lakers.
What about them? That garbage squad that I support, yes.
Before we talk about, because you want to talk about Lonzo real fast, before we talk about that, I think this offseason, I put a little thought into this over the weekend. I forget what I was doing. I was talking to somebody who was a Lakers fan. I told him that this is the look with Magic's with Magic's connections. I'm not saying it's going to be Paul George. I'm not saying it's going to be LeBron James.
This is breaking news. Hot takes on JD Sports.
No, I think that this is because he was trying to convince me on this roster that they have right now, and I don't know about.
He's a moron.
Sorry. I don't know about this roster that I like. There's talent there, but it's going to be this offseason.
Allegedly.
It's going to be this offseason that's really.
Don't say there's talent there. We don't know.
So, what do you have to tell me about?
There's a lot of hope.
You want to talk about Lonzo. What did you want to tell me about Lonzo?
No, time out. No, what's going on this offseason?
I think that they're going to pull some kind of free agent of some kind.
Big name, you're saying?
Yeah,
like
because like a Paul George, like a LeBron. I don't know who is going to be like a Russell Westbrook. I don't know who it's going to be, but with Magic Johnson's connection, it is almost impossible for me to think that somebody isn't going to go there.
That was why I was excited about him going in. I would agree with that. Yeah.
Because I think that this is before I didn't know with the whole Bust family. I didn't know with everything when it was L.A. Who was it? LaMarcus Aldridge. Mm-hmm. I didn't know about all that. I thought that there might have been.
Supposedly was all sold.
And I remember that.
And I'm gonna keep saying this because I have yet to hear their apology, but everybody blamed Kobe for LaMarcus Aldridge not coming, even though LaMarcus Aldridge then said later that Kobe was the best part of the presentation. So I'm still waiting for the apology too, Kobe. Just saying to all you people out there.
But for whatever reason, he didn't go there.
It was the owners. It was Jim Bob.
And that's what we thought it was at the time. And my thought process on all of it was, even going into that offseason, or before we even knew there was a chance of him going there, was it was going to be a little harder for the Lakers to pull some people in because of that. But I thought when they did the Magic thing, and as you said you were excited, that there was obviously going to be that he's too well respected by guys like LeBron James, Paul George, Kevin Durant, the top
just did
players.
with the Dodgers, man.
And he didn't even have a whole lot of putting that together, but he was a part of an investment group that has put the people together in the right places to put that team together.
He's a businessman, and he knows basketball, and he loves the Lakers more than he loves the Dodgers.
So him to be able to pull a connection and to be smart enough to let the people who run basketball operations to actually still run the basketball operations while he is the guy who kind of smooth talks the people that they want. That's going to be their opportunity. I like Lonzo. I think that he's something to build off of. I don't know about Julius Randle. I think that he's actually not been as well as I thought he was going to be. Ingram has talent, but I think that he might end up out being a better pawn in this whole scheme of things if they end up getting a guy like Paul George or LeBron that you could trade for somebody to build around right then and there. Not saying you can't build around him right then and there.
At this point, I don't know if Randall's going to... I don't think he's going to be on the team much longer.
I like Randall. He just did not end up being as good as I... And, he had an injury. Remember his rookie year? He got injured, and I think that had a lot to do with it. Because he was...
And now he's riding a bench, which, he's doing all right. But he's not what...
He's not flourishing what we thought he was going to be. He was very good in college as well, and I think that had a lot to do with it. So what were you going to tell me about Lonzo?
I was going to say real quick, Ingram, he's too young, too skinny. He needs to eat a sandwich. You want to talk about
really skinny.
People trading, for sandwiches. Somebody give this man a sandwich because my man
he's getting bodied around a little bit too when he gets down low.
He has room to grow, not just physically.
He's young though too. He's young. He's only 20.
That's what I said. Give him some time, and I feel the same way about Lonzo. As far as we need to give him time, wait and see what happens. But
youngest player ever triple double in the history of basketball. 5 days younger than LeBron James.
And why
who is known as, if not the greatest, then the second greatest basketball player of all time to many.
So why does that matter?
That means Lonzo will either be the greatest, second, or third best of all time. Yes?
That does not what that means.
Okay.
This is what I said last week when I say I don't care about these age stats because they mean absolutely
age stats are always going to go younger and younger and younger the way the basketball is working right now.
You realize how ridiculous that sounds.
Yeah, well, LeBron also didn't play a year in college, and Lonzo did. So that means Lonzo ended up playing a year early in everything.
Right. LeBron actually, and we had this conversation before. I don't know if it was on air or not, but we're going to have it now. At least when LeBron came in with all his ridiculous hype, which was ridiculous, he at least kind of backed it up.
Yeah, no, he put up the numbers that you could say, all right. All right,
there's something.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Lonzo is doing he is young and thing.
He's had one really good game.
He has 10, 10, and 10.
He's had a couple of multiple good games, and then he's had a couple of multiple
that. What does that
bad
mean?
games.
What does that mean?
Good, mediocre games. Look,
when you're shooting 30% from the field, when literally I can dribble basketball, which I have no dribbling skills whatsoever. I have no dribbling
his shooting
skills.
was never going to be that. I never
shooting
thought
was
his shooting was going to be top notch of any kind. I know
so
his dad said.
So he's going to be a Hall of Famer on 10 and 12.
Look, I told you before I didn't know if he was going to be a Hall of Famer or not. I just thought that he was going to be. Yeah, I mean, why not 10? But he might be getting 15 assists and 10 rebounds.
Does that make you great? No. No, it doesn't make you what everybody made him out to be. It makes you a good player. It doesn't make you what everybody made you out to be.
If he could average a triple-double throughout his career...
Stop it. It's not happening.
10 points.
When you're shooting 30% from the field?
Yeah, I hear you there. It's definitely... He can only get better from shooting-wise.
That's not saying anything. But to my second point, which
he doesn't turn the ball over a whole lot. For as much as he has the ball in his hands.
Yay.
All right.
My point is that people just relax. Like I'm not over thinking this situation and saying, oh, he's just gonna be garbage.
Yeah.
No, because he's too damn young. He's too damn young, and we don't know. But I don't need to see ESPN comparing his rookie year to Jason Kidd's rookie year and saying, look how comparable it is. I don't need some nerd at a computer Google searching the history of the NBA and seeing what's the closest statistics wise. Like, that's ridiculous to me. I don't need him compared to a Hall of Famer when he's 19.
There's been a lot of players who didn't make the Hall of Fame who had much better rookie.
Which is why I'm saying we need to relax in general with him.
I agree.
And my big issue, not only just his shooting, which is atrocious, his 30%, but he is a horrible defender. I have no dribbling skills whatsoever. Yeah. I can get past this man. He has. You want to talk about Steve Nash? Let's make a comparison to a Hall of Famer. Steve Nash was horrible at defense. He had no defensive capabilities. He couldn't guard anybody. Lonzo Ball, at least right now, he's young and he still has a lot of time. Anybody. He doesn't try. Yeah. Everybody made a big deal about the game he had with Damian Lillard. I just saw Damian Lillard just
run around him.
All that.
Yeah.
That's all anybody's doing. I don't like it.
To be fair, he's running around a lot of people, passing around a lot.
And that's an overrated thing too. I watched a highlight video and it showed every single shot that he's taken so far this season, and the majority of them is him forcing things, trying to drive to the lane, and there's 2-3 defenders instead of passing out like the point guard. I get on LeBron for doing that, but the point is LeBron is like 3-4 inches taller, a good 100 pounds bigger, and can go through people, and I want that. Lonzo's, 3-4 inches shorter, 100 pounds lighter, whatever. And he's a point guard. He should be passing out to the open man and getting the open J. Instead, Lonzo, he forces it and misses it or gets blocked almost all the time. And he'll learn from that. He'll get better with that. But I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed with him. I'm not impressed with him being the youngest player with a triple-double. Just wait and see. I'm just saying.
So.
Sick of his hype. Him and his brothers that like to steal things.
We're not even going to get into that.
We already did. Shout out to China. Shout out to Colin Kaepernick, too. Here's our cheap plug.
GQ Man of the Year.
Oh. No, but it's not People Magazine. It's not New York Times. Doesn't matter.
Before we get into our picks, Dwight.
What's up?
Sunday night, at the same time as the big game.
It wasn't a big game as far as I'm concerned.
SummerSlam's on.
Survivor Series?
Survivor Series, sorry. I did say SummerSlam. I did say SummerSlam.
You did say SummerSlam? You've been working for like 8 days.
Okay, so give me a quick little preview of this. Let me know what's gonna, give me a little bit of a rundown that you do know before we get into our picks.
I mean, as of right now,
always subject to change. The card always is subject to change.
Oh yeah, and it's been changing the past 24 hours, even with there being Monday Night Raw going on, so. I would just stick to 2 matches.
Okay.
There's other matches obviously, but I think overall I think it's a great show. It's a great show.
All right.
Overall on paper. But 2 matches. One, you got AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar, champion versus champion. AJ Styles beat Jinder Mahal for the WWE title last week on SmackDown in Europe.
Okay.
Which is what's up. That's awesome. It's a much better matchup. I don't need to see the Canadian Indian guy facing Brock Lesnar. Honestly, that's just a garbage match.
The backup quarterback of the Chiefs' cousin.
Literally.
Okay.
Who's irrelevant, nobody cares about, but for some reason has a championship.
All right.
It'd be like Jay Cutler walking around with the Super Bowl. It's like, yeah.
And a
cool.
cigarette.
Right.
All right.
My point. But instead you got, I don't know, Peyton Manning over here who got a championship and everybody loves. He's good all the time. He makes everybody better. It's something to watch and it's exciting.
So who you got in this match?
Wow, that's really tough. I would say there's going to be. It's not going to be a straight finish. I would say disqualification.
Okay.
Something funky. I don't think you let either man lose this.
Okay.
So I would say, and that's not a popular decision. It's kind of just
the bell retains.
It's kind of a push, but
the bell retains then.
Title's not on the line. It's just champion versus champion. It's just a bragging thing, basically.
Oh, okay.
So it makes it real easy just to say.
So what's the other match you want to get into?
Just disqualification or some type of fuckery.
Doesn't hurt anybody.
SmackDown versus Raw, which is the 5-on-5. You got Triple H on one team.
Yep.
On Raw, which was just announced with Kurt Angle.
You suck.
Right. And then the other side, you got Shane McMahon.
Yeah.
John Cena's on that team.
Yeah.
You got 4 huge names facing off in one match. It's an elimination match, traditional Survivor Series. I said earlier, I think that match is going to go at least 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It's going to go long. Probably
you think it'll be fun? I got Raw winning, but I'm rooting for SmackDown.
It'll be fun, but it's like last year. It was too long. And the fact that they're really pushing this whole Raw versus SmackDown thing, and you got these 4 huge names in it. I didn't even mention the other people that are equally as I don't know, not just important, but they have
power.
Right, they have appeal to them. I guess, star power. But the fact that you have Triple H returning, you got Kurt Angle returning again, you got Shane McMahon returning, John Cena's returning, you expect a long, lengthy, drawn-out thing, and that's what I expected it to be if I had to pick one.
Shane O'Mac's jumping on the top.
I'd go with Raw just because you can't have Triple H come back just randomly the week before and have him lose.
I'm picking Raw as well, but I'm rooting for SmackDown.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great pay-per-view. There's plenty of matches I'm excited for.
So...
It's better than what I'm going to be watching.
We'll get into that in a second.
Just saying.
Picks from last week. Last week was a good week of football. Last week was a good week for both of us in picks. I went 11-3. What'd you do?
11-3.
So we both had a good week.
This parity's coming to be a real thing apparently between us because
I'm 98-48 overall.
Still 95-51. You still got a 3-game win on me.
We're right there. I think
ridiculous.
I think we will both eclipse the 100-win mark this week.
Yeah. Oh yeah, easily. This is probably gonna be the tightest race we got going for it. But I mean, it's been what? 3-game lead, 4-game lead the past couple weeks.
Yeah,
it's kind of
right
stagnant at this point. I'm just wondering if it's going to get any deeper or if it's going to reverse at this point because it's been so stagnant.
Well, we will see. This I don't know how much different will be this week or even moving forward, but I think you'll have a shot to catch me.
It's tighter than it was last year. Let's put it that way.
Thursday night game.
Yeah.
Tennessee taking on Pittsburgh.
All right.
Actually, a pretty good matchup.
Yeah, definitely. Uncle Raj, he watched WWE Sports last week and he was like, you know what, I actually like them.
The last 2 weeks have been a little bad, but
he was one of the 7 viewers last week.
Right.
Shouts to him.
One of the 4 listeners on SoundCloud.
Here's that many?
Yeah, I had 4. It was 4, so.
He said, one of the 4 listeners. That's
cool.
Okay.
I took Pittsburgh. It's a home game. I think they are the better team, and it's Thursday night. That combination with Tennessee, I'm not sold on them yet. I'm taking Pittsburgh.
I agree. I'm not really sold on Tennessee either, but I'm not.
They're good.
I'm not off of them,
They're
but
good.
I'm not sold on them on this game. I got Pittsburgh.
Baltimore going up to Lambeau on Sunday. The Packers pulling one out last week.
Guess I'm sorry. Garbage, trash, ass Bears.
Mitch Trubisky.
I'm gonna say it. Fuck the Bears.
Yeah, they suck, man.
Are you kidding me?
I think they're trying to be as bad as the Niners.
No, they're not trying. No, they're not trying. Dude, they're not trying.
They are.
They tried. They tried against them Bears. Against them Packers.
They lost. Scott
Aaron
Tolzien.
Rodgers listed Packers.
No, it wasn't Scott Tolzien. Brett Hundley, that's their quarterback.
Oh.
I got Baltimore beating Green Bay this week, by the way.
I took Green Bay. Just because.
Okay.
No real reason.
Washington taking on the hottest team in the NFL, New Orleans. In New Orleans. New Orleans has not played all that well at home. Washington has been a surprise road team all season.
Who they?
I'm still taking the Saints.
Who they, Saints?
They don't even have to pass for touchdowns anymore. That's how good they are.
All right. And Drew Brees is going to have at least 4.
Week 1.
Predicted here first. Like a lot of things.
Tampa Bay was supposed to play Miami, but there was a hurricane, so it got moved to Week 11. We are now in Week 11. Tampa Bay taking on Miami in the Battle of Florida.
I forgot that.
If you eliminate Jacksonville. Who you got, Tampa Bay or Miami?
This is horrible, but Jameis isn't playing. Most likely, I'll go with Miami. Tampa Bay's garbage.
I didn't know what I was going to do.
Miami's
Tampa Bay
garbage.
pulled out the win over the Jets with Fitzpatrick. Miami coming off a short week and how bad they looked, I ended up going with Tampa Bay, but I had a hard time with it. I'm going with Tampa Bay.
I'll take Marlboro Man himself, Jay Cutler, and let's go.
The best defense in the league, Jacksonville taking on the worst overall team in the league, Cleveland. Does Cleveland get their first win this week?
Fake news. Jacksonville.
Jacksonville in Cleveland. Could you imagine 3 years ago this game, Jacksonville versus Cleveland? It would have been 2 of the scrubbiest teams of all time.
Yeah, factual.
Now you got a good Jacksonville team.
One that might do something.
The Rams taking on Minnesota in my estimation as probably the best game of the weekend.
This is a difficult one.
Question marks everywhere. The Rams have been very good on the road. Minnesota's just been good overall, but not all that good at home. But their defense has been spectacular. Their offense scored a bunch of points last week against Washington, but it might be more Washington than their offense. I had a very hard time in this game. The Rams' offense is so good. Minnesota's defense is so good. It's going to come down to those 2 units against each other. I'm taking Minnesota.
That's not who I thought you was going to pick.
It took me a while to decide on that one, though.
I really thought we were going to be different on this one. I took Minnesota as well.
You thought... Because I've been very high on the Rams.
Yeah.
I've been so high on the Rams.
No, it's a hard one. I had a hard time picking this one, but...
This is going to be... I think that's the best game of the week. I honestly do. Arizona taking on Houston in what could be the worst game of the week. I had a hard time with this one for way opposite reasons. I took Houston, even though Arizona's coming off 11-day bye. I just don't believe in John Skeldon, man.
I don't believe in anything with the Texans. I'm taking the Cardinals.
Detroit taking on your favorite Bears. Matt Stafford, I think, racks up another win against a losing record team.
Fuck the Bears. I'm going to the Lions. That's going to be the quote for the
Both
rest
got
of the week.
Detroit there. Kansas City taking on the New York Giants. Have the Giants given up? Could you and I go out there and play harder than the Giants did last week?
Yes.
C.J. Bethel, man, looking like Steve Young. Literally put up numbers as good as Steve Young last week. C.J. Bethel.
Horrible, man. Giants are so horrible. And again, you heard it here first. We talked about the Giants situation. We talked about the Eli, what they should do. We talked about the coach situation.
Yeah, we've been talking about that for a while.
About that.
Shit, before the season I brought up about how I wasn't really sure about the
Before
Giants.
there was because I saw on one particular show that there was, somebody was saying, oh, according to an insider inside of the Giants locker room, they predicted that, this would happen.
They. JD Sports is who they are.
We didn't need an insider on it with the team that said that this was going to happen, and we already told y'all what should happen with both the quarterback and the coach. It's an abysmal situation. The Giants are such a joke. It's Kansas City easily. It's not even.
They're 1-8 this year. I think they will go 1-9 after they lose to Kansas City because of how good Kansas City is.
1-16 or
that
1-15,
means
whatever.
They will legitimately have one. They will be 1-10 if they lose this week. In their 11 games since that boat picture, they will be 1-10.
And the Jaguars are what? Oh,
6-2.
Let's get rid of our coach though because he's old and he doesn't know what he's doing, right? And they have the best defense, one of the best defenses in the NFL. And he made. Who is their quarterback?
Blake Bortles.
He made Blake Bortles a winning quarterback right now. But the Giants are what again?
About to fire their head coach.
1-47? Oh.
Buffalo taking on the Chargers. Man, you talk about a disappointing team. The last 2 weeks, Buffalo, we talked about how Buffalo on a Thursday night got beat by a lot by the Jets. And then the next week they end up just getting rolled up on by New Orleans. They have a big game. They have to prove themselves to keep themselves in at least the AFC wildcard race and maybe the division race, but I don't even know if they really have a shot with that with the way New England's been playing. But they have to beat the Chargers, who find a new way to lose week in and week out. Did you see how they? Oh, excuse me. Did you see how they lost to the Jaguars last week?
Yeah.
They find a new way to lose every single week. Who are you taking in this week?
Well, apparently I got to come up with this on the fly because I don't have that game on here. But considering what just happened with the Chargers, or with the Bills, I should say, and the Chargers are at home and they were on a winning streak. I'm going with the Chargers.
I'm going with the Bills, but I don't know. I don't know about either of these teams.
No.
New England taking on Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
Oakland has been struggling overall this season. Quarterback issues, but for the most part, even while he's there, they haven't won every game. I have New England the way they've been rolling the last couple of weeks, and the way Oakland has not been playing all that well.
Oakland's a disappointment overall in New England.
Cincinnati taking on Denver. Talk about two disappointing teams. I had a really hard time with this one, but I took Cincinnati because I feel like Denver's offense is not...
There is no such thing.
And their defense has given up because of it.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't feel comfortable taking Cincinnati, I'll be honest.
I should be comfortable taking Cincinnati, but I'm not. I'm going to just uncomfortably pick the Broncos.
We'll skip the Sunday night game for a second. Atlanta taking on Seattle in the Monday night game. I did not think Atlanta can travel. The Seahawks scared me the last couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give them another shot. I'm taking the Seahawks to beat the Falcons. But I do think this is going to be a good game. If the Falcons can play anyway
definitely could be.
near the way they did last week, and I know that the Cowboys are a little depleted, so it's not necessarily fair to judge it off of that. But if they can play somewhere like that and keep that momentum against the Seahawks team, it should be a fun Monday night game. I'm taking the Seahawks though.
I pick Seattle as well. I mean, I don't think the Falcons are great. I don't think they're garbage.
Right.
But they're
Seattle.
there. They're going to be in the mix.
And it's in
the
Seattle.
end.
It's in Seattle.
But it's in Seattle, and it's Monday night. I'm going Seattle.
Sunday night.
The real main event. Outside of Survivor Series.
I wish that the Cowboys were healthy overall and had Zeke, because it would definitely be a lot easier for there to be no excuses.
I wish this game was not on Survivor Series night.
I hope it wasn't. Yeah, I wish it wasn't so late on a night that I'm working these ridiculous hours of this month.
That too. I'm about to be right there with you.
I know, yeah, you are. I'm taking the Eagles to beat Dallas on Sunday night. I think that the Eagles' offense hopefully can keep it rolling the way they were going into the bye. Their defense being as good as they are, especially with how tough their front seven is. If Smith cannot play, it's going to be hard for Dallas to really protect Dak. And with no Zeke, it's going to, he's been getting to the second level, and even the Eagles' second level is pretty good. But with the injuries, you would think Zeke would be able to maybe take advantage of that. But he might, the backup running backs might not even be able to get to the second level. So I'm taking the Eagles with the way they've been rolling overall, and because of the way Dallas has been playing. Obviously, I'm an Eagles fan as well. So, this is a really big rivalry game. It could potentially, before we get your pick, it's hard to say that it would end a division, but I don't see Washington making the comeback. Obviously, the Giants are out of it. Dallas is the only team I think even has a shot, in my opinion, to make a run.
I wouldn't say definitively, but it's all but shuts it down.
And so, if the Eagles would beat them, this would be the best opportunity for Dallas to make that run for the division. If the Eagles would beat them, I think it would really kind of close the door with their 2 wins over Washington, or at least make it almost impossible for them to lose the division. So it's that big in the sense of it for the Eagles, and that's another reason why I think coming off the bye, I have the Eagles, and it almost feels like a must-win game for them, especially with the injuries, and a must-win, a must-take advantage game for them. Let me put it that way. Maybe not must-win, must-take advantage. You take advantage of this, you really, especially the way the season's been rolling with them locking up everything and just kind of knocking over every obstacle in their way, other than Kansas City. It's almost one of those. All right, this is just one more hurdle that. All right, show it again. Prove it one more time. So I'm taking the Eagles, but.
Well, like I said before we even started, I wouldn't even consider this a hurdle for you guys. Yeah, it's a big divisional game.
Right.
Yeah, they hate each other.
I mean it in that sense.
Well, right. But outside of that, pure football-wise, it's not. Like I said,
they should be able to walk in their lineup and run them over because of the talent differential due to injuries.
At that point, yeah, definitely. Because on paper, the Eagles are a much better team at this point with everything. Yeah. With the Dallas situation.
The combined.
I think it would tell more about you guys if the Eagles lose than if the Cowboys win this, then it's like, okay, they got lucky, whatever. That doesn't tell me that they're great. But if the Eagles lose this, then I would say,
might have something to do with the pressure. Might have something to do with what was riding on the game itself.
Are they really ready? Or I think those questions then will come forth next week if that would
definitely be something to look forward to. Yeah.
Right. The Eagles actually we didn't talk about this. What actually number 1 against the rush?
Yeah.
They allow only
That's why
66 yards a game.
Because most teams have to pass so much against them because they're down so much. But that was part of the reason
we can't rush without Zeke.
And that was part of the reason I wanted to see Smith be healthy and Zeke in there, because I wanted to see how good that rush team. Because look, I legitimately think the Eagles' front seven is really good and would be a really top 5 team against the rush, anyways. Right. But it makes it a little better when your offense is up 7 to 14 points pretty early. Usually, and the other team has to seem like they pass the ball 50 to 60 times against our defense almost there. But yes, I did know that, and that's why I wanted to see them as healthy as possible. And I'm with you. That really, with the injuries now, with the suspension, it almost makes it unfair how good their offense has been against, or how good their defense has been against the run.
Which kind of goes to my point, which is if you guys win, it's not...
It's not unexpected at all.
It's not unexpected. It's not even something to brag about. It's not even something to be excited about, which is part of the reason why I kind of just... Honestly, I feel like I care more about this Survivor Series.
I understand that, because you feel like your fate is already kind of determined as a Cowboys fan, so I get that.
Which at least WWE acknowledges that that's what it is. You know what I mean? At least, I'm going to watch both in some capacity.
Right, I understand but that. You're not going to miss an Eagles-Cowboys game, no matter what.
I'm more excited about something that's already determined, that at least acknowledges is predetermined, and something that's not predetermined, that's pretty much predetermined. I hate that I'm doing this. It's probably the only time I'm ever going to do it on the show. I picked the Eagles because all the factors are against the Cowboys. I'm not. I really want to say F the Eagles, which it's still F the Eagles.
Oh, it's right. I understand.
And I didn't want to have to pick them, but I don't have a choice.
Because of everything.
We're competing right now for burgers and wings, so I got to go with the realistic thing, which is I think the Eagles are going to win. I hope they don't, but if I had to put everything on the line, I'd say they most definitely will.
I think the bigger...
and that sickens me.
I understand that.
It really does. You know how hard that is to say?
Yeah.
But y'all want to win. Y'all should win.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I get to destroy you next week.
I think everything that we said, though...
completely justifies it.
Well, I think that would basically mean that's why Dallas is most likely going to win this game, right? Because that's how the NFL works.
That's how the Cowboys work.
That's how it seemed to be working lately
for
everybody in the NFL.
Something, I didn't even notice this. I was watching the end of the Atlanta Cowboys game real quick. And they were saying how Cole Beasley, they were talking about how he doesn't seem to be getting as many receptions targets as he did last year. And I was like, get the heck out of here. I didn't even know what they were talking about. So I looked it up. Do you know who leads the Cowboys in receptions?
No. Terrence Williams? Oh, it does.
This is Bryant. Isn't that wild? Because you see how many times they don't connect and there's misses, whether it's overthrown.
I knew he led them in targets, but that's good. Or
Dez drops it or whatever.
Right.
The joke is, but no, he legit leads the team.
Yeah.
And number 2 is Jason Witten.
Yeah.
So all this, I was just like, wow, really? Yeah, Cole Beasley's I think Cole Beasley is actually 4th. I forget. I think Terrence Williams might be 3rd.
Yeah, Terrence Williams is up there. I know that. He catches a lot of passes, but yeah.
But Des Bryant leads the lead.
And he's getting double covered most of the time
in receptions. And then I was like, well, damn, if he actually connected with, because they misconnect so often.
If they connected every time.
If they connected half of that, we'd be talking about the great Des Bryant.
Yeah.
It just blew my mind. I didn't know he was leading the team in receptions. I didn't know Jason Witt was number 2. I was just like, huh, that's interesting.
Well, those two... And Dak being able to move around in the backfield, that's going to be the hardest thing for the Eagles is the wide receiver talent
who guards Dak?
And Dak running around.
Or who guards Dez?
Dez, right. Darby's coming back, so I think they might throw him out there. I think Sidney Jones might even play, so they might throw him, but probably not on Dez. But they're going to have to rotate a couple different guys. But that's going to be their biggest thing. If they can figure out to shut down the talent of the reception corps, including Witten, the Eagles that's going to be their best opportunity to win this game.
Definitely.
Well, we will definitely talk about it next week. I'm sure a whole lot more. We'll cover the WWE pay-per-view. We'll definitely probably cover a little bit of college football.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot more to come basketball-wise as well. So
next week's Thanksgiving, bro.
Next week's Thanksgiving, so we definitely have the Thanksgiving special talking about Dallas. Who do they play on Thanksgiving? They play somebody.
Is it Hardwood? I really don't even know.
I did know this. Busy. I knew this. No, we are busy, but I knew this the other day. I just saw it. But
I'm drawing a blank.
We'll see. Anyways, we have a lot to get into. Thanksgiving's always fun around here. So
absolutely.
Till next time, JD Sports. 4 ways.
4 ways.
Woo.